All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Real Estate Bites. Thanks for joining me again. Coming at you most Fridays, trying to bring some good content for you guys to talk about the real estate industry. Usually bringing you stats, bringing you other information, pulling the curtain back, so you get an inside look at what happens in this industry. Today's going to be a short one. I am not going to get into Lorain County real estate sales statistics, big sale of the week, all that kind of stuff at the end. I just want to spend some time ranting a bit about something that's been grilling my cheese here the past couple of days. Look, the National Association of Realtors has been around a long time. I've been critical of them in the past, especially in the wake of those lawsuits. Just last week I was talking about how I was giving a lot of praise to the Ohio Realtors, and it was well deserved. This week I'm coming back boomeranging on the National Association of Realtors. NAR has been around a long time, and their original focus was bringing standards of professionalism to an industry that operated very much like the Wild West. Okay, they brought a code of ethics. They brought education, continuing education. Being a realtor, right, was what made you stand out from anybody else operating in this industry, helping people buy and sell homes. Being a realtor was that standard of excellence and knowledge in this industry. The state licensing process has really, watered down the importance or the effect of having that realtor designation over the years. But at any rate, so they seem to have lost their way, guys, and it's really annoying to me. I wonder what my dues are going for all the time. Look, the National Association of Realtors is one of the big three lobby groups in this nation. They're a tremendously powerful and wealthy organization that wields a lot of influence. However, just recently they got their asses kicked by a handful of money-grubbing attorneys and completely capitulated and changed the rules of the industry. That, there's a ton of opinion. You can find it all over YouTube. You can find it all over TikTok and all over the place. In my opinion, they failed the consumers. As far as I can see here as a little old broker in Northeast Ohio, little old associate broker in Northeast Ohio, they did not help the consumer at all. They made it harder for home buyers. And, instead of agents, losing their jobs and the industry falling apart, agents are actually getting paid more. That's what I see in the wake of these lawsuits, where they completely shit the bed and failed to protect an industry and a policy that they set up years ago that was designed to protect consumers. So at any rate, they've just enacted a new policy that is as asinine as it gets, okay? So many a moon ago, they created what's called the Clear Cooperation Policy. And essentially what that policy states, it's an MLS thing, and the NAR has basically control of MLSs all over the country. But the Clear Cooperation Policy states that these brokers who have committed to working together via the multiple listing service to advertise properties to one another to help the consumers get the most exposure for their property that they're trying to sell. They're trying to get home sellers to get the most exposure for their listings. And then obviously more buyers get to see it, more competition comes in. It's just better for the consumers, right? Seller gets more exposure, buyers look at more opportunities, okay? That was part of the Clear Cooperation Policy stated this: you could not market a property outside of a 24-hour window of it going on the MLS and being marketed to everybody. So what that means is you couldn't put it in the newspaper. You couldn't put a yard sign in the front yard saying for sale. You couldn't market it in any way, shape, or form no earlier than 24 hours before it was live in the MLS, and all the other brokers and all of their clients got to see that advertising, right? The intent was exposure. Okay, let me show you this article right here. Let me share the screen here, take you to the NAR website, where they talk about this amazing and fantastic new policy to expand choice for consumers. Okay, so the policy, developed following many months of consultation with MLS and association leadership, brokerages, agents, multicultural organizations, and industry experts, introduces a new category of exempt listings called delayed market exempt listings. Okay? What does that mean exactly, guys? That is an exclusive office only listing. So, to make sense of that, the National Association of Realtors, whose original mission was to create standards of excellence in the industry to protect the consuming public, has now made it a policy, opened up policies to MLSs everywhere, and they're allowing individual MLSs to dictate these policies, but that allows a broker to take a new listing and advertise it only to the agents in their listing for a certain amount of time. That certain amount of time is going to be determined by the local MLS. How does that help the consumer at all? It goes against everything that clear cooperation was supposed to be about. It limits the exposure for sellers, obviously, because only agents within the brokerage that the listing belongs to gets to see that new listing. And all the other brokers have no idea that that's out there. That seller only gets exposure for their listing to the other agents within that brokerage. Now, a big green and yellow brokerage that we all know of did this a couple years back, and there was a bit of an uproar because this is not a customer-facing policy, right? This is only to double production and keep all the money in-house. There's no reason to do this except for your brokerage to keep all of the money, right? If you're only exposing this to people in your brokerage and that seller is paying a commission, obviously, to the listing broker, but still very often offering some sort of broker payment to a buyer broker, and you're only advertising this property to agents within your brokerage, the only reason is to try to double up on the side and double up and get all of the commission. That is not a customer first policy, right, guys? Listen, I built a pretty good business here because I focus on the people. This is a people first business. I know it sounds crazy cliche. It is, but the reality is, for some reason, for so many agents and clearly now brokers, people first seems like such a hard concept to really get behind. This is not a people first policy. I talk to my agents all the time. This is about people. This industry, what we do as real estate agents and brokers, it's not about houses, right? It's about the people buying and selling the house. Without the people, there's no commerce. Okay. Without the people, there's no industry. It's the people who are buying and selling the homes. It's their goals that we need to help achieve and meet in the best way possible, right? How are you doing that with this new policy? Now, NAR, they like to say that, well, it's because many clients, we've talked to brokers all over the nation, and many sellers, they want to protect their privacy, and they don't want it shown to just everybody in the world. They want the exposure limited. Bullshit. What are you talking about? That's some of the craziest hogwash I've ever heard. You've talked to different brokerages and agents and multicultural organizations, whatever that is. Sounds like some grift to me. It sounds like, some sealed envelopes were changing hands in back rooms. Listen, that's pure speculation. I got no evidence of any sort of corruption anywhere, but to make a decision like this is so whacked and crazy and definitely not in the best interests of the consuming public that I can't think of anything else. Why would you make this decision? Why would you open up this policy to big brokers? And look, who's the only ones that really benefit from this? It's the big monster brokers, right? It's the big national brokers who have enough agents nationally as well as within their local footprint that it would actually work for, because I know no smaller boutique family owned brokerage that operate in just one part of a state. This doesn't help their people. There's no way they can sell this to their people. This is big money and big corporate America exercising undue influence again on an industry. And it's kind of disgusting. And for all of us who pay dues to the National Association of Realtors, we should be disgusted and we should be embarrassed. I am. Hey, thanks for joining me again, guys. Hope to see you again next week. Share this with people. People need to know, because if you're signing on with a broker that talks to you, well, first of all, ask them if they have an office-only exclusive policy for listings. If there's any amount of time that they only share it to people in their brokerage before it goes live on the MLS, ask them if they got that policy. If they do, they're not doing you right, okay? And if they do, I mean, as always, take care of yourselves. Take care of one another. I love you, people. See you next week.